This is the secret story of Nutmeg.
Because in the last couple of months I've sort of got a bit more understanding about what the story is about and the connections to it. I get him to try and tie the story and how it has a connection to everything.
Yes.
And that's what he keeps saying. It's the greatest story ever told.
Yes.
In that, anyone could say that and you think, well, why? Why is that? And initially, if he told me that, it was like, well, fucking, how can it be the greatest story ever told?
For centuries, the seed of the Mystrica fragrance tree, nutmeg, also known as muscat, has been sought after by people all over the world for its perceived medicinal and magical powers. It has been called the spice of life, or the spice of kings. Thought to have cured the plague, have aphrodisiac qualities, and even cure flatulence, nutmeg was considered a symbol of wealth and status over thousands of years, instigating the birth of capitalism, globalism, and violent genocide and war. But why was this spice really so valuable? The answer may surprise you. Nutmeg's qualities and its story could be just what we need to cure our modern-day ailments. We want to explore its incredible history and the mystery that surrounds its real value to society over time. Welcome to the secret story of Nutmeg, the mysteries and histories of a seed that shaped the world. Nutmeg is the original metaphor. Many times over the last few months, Trad has said these words, nutmeg, it's the original metaphor, Andy. The original. In light of all the ideas he has shared with me, this phrase is always at the forefront of my mind. The thought that nutmeg is a metaphorical story more than anything else has allowed me to explore how this story, in fact, touches on so much of the way the world works today. Metaphor is a basic process for conceptualising and understanding the world around me. In fact, the world's operations are becoming clearer to me the more I look into the story of nutmeg. Coincidence? Am I making my own patterns? Or is it really just the application of metaphor in its widest sense? This is something to keep in mind more and more as I recount my first phone call with Trad. You may remember the text. Hi Andy, I'm Trad, a friend of Ben's, who tells me you may have an interest in an original story that keeps me in awe every day. And so we arranged the time for a chat. We had a time difference, so it took a while that day to get connected. Australia is a big place, and we live at either ends. Maybe I should have used one of Trad's clocks. Yes, Trad has invented a new style of clock. Ben told me about it. Who the invents a clock? Anyway, I was feeling a bit nervous, but also excited to be finally connecting with this fella Trad. Earlier that day, I'd consumed another documentary about nutmeg by a YouTuber, Weird Explorer, who specialises in exotic fruit videos, nutmeg being just one of them. If you go to his YouTube channel and have a look at his videos, they're all quite short and very, very fruit orientated. Could I say fruity? But this one about nutmeg extended for a feature-length time. of about an hour and a half because our fruit-loving YouTuber couldn't stop following the story that he was uncovering.
On the first trip, I only went to Penang in order to visit the nutmeg farm. That was going to be it. But then when I got home from that trip, I started researching the history of nutmeg in order to give some fun facts about why it grows in Penang. And instead, I was disturbed by what I found out.
He explored the early days of Malacca, the spice trading town, and eventually found his way to the Banda Islands. I was intrigued and impressed to watch the young American carve out a rollicking story as he travelled through Indonesia, bringing to life history that I had only faintly recognised before. The Portuguese taking Malacca on the Malay Peninsula and controlling the spice trade, the Dutch taking over the Portuguese control of the spice trade and in particular the Banda Islands, and the Dutch genocide of the Bandanese people to control nutmeg. Genocide. I could see that this bloke was quite visibly affected by the story himself, and he revisited the area a few times in order to finish his film, eventually finding some of the original Bandanese descendants on a neighbouring island group, and at the end of the film, after looking for some nutmeg tended by these people and stumbling across various nutmeg varieties that didn't qualify, he finally finds a true nutmeg tree. True nutmeg. Mystrica fragrans. I look at my notes from my first conversation with Trad, and there is a line. The one true nutmeg. I'm telling you now, if I read off all my notes from that first conversation, you're going to lock yourself in for every episode from here on in, or you're going to check out right now because this cat is nuts. Saying that, I will anyway. Bearing in mind, metaphor. Nutmeg is the original metaphor. But also, if you've come this far with us, then your imagination may like a tickle every now and then, and this is all we ask. I'm not sure what I was expecting when I picked up the phone. What greeted me was a voice thick with Australian accent, unassuming sounding, rough but kind.
Hey Andy, how you going? It's Trad.
How you going, Trad?
Good mate. I believe you might be interested in a story.
Speaking in what sounds at times like riddles.
Nutmeg. There's more to nutmeg than the world knows. It's our hidden secret, but it's there for anyone to see. It's hidden right under our noses. Just a matter of letting people know so they can search themselves and see the truth of this story that got into my head and holds me in great awe every day, mate. Yeah, it's hard to fathom that this small little nut is the beginning of our world.
Again, I didn't record the first phone call with Trad, so we tried to recreate it.
It's in our history books. It's in our science. It just needs to be exposed, and maybe you're the man to expose it.
Right. That sounds like a story. Fuck. So nutmeg. Where do you start with that? Like, what? Tell me a bit more.
I think you begin as to. I think many people would have heard of the Manhattan Transfer.
There it is again. It was pretty hard to get Trad to repeat everything he told me on that first phone call. But I did write a list of everything as he was talking about it. And I'm going to go through that list with you now. It might seem a bit crazy, but believe me, this is what we talked about in the story of nutmeg. the source of empathy, the missing link, Homo erectus to Homo sapien, and Homo florensis, ecstasy, the drink soma, world wars, why are we still fighting them, the War of Granada, Java Man, the discovery of the Hobbit, Wallacea, the Wallace Line, Atlantis, Captain Morgan, World War I, MDMA 1912, Treasure Island, Pinocchio, empathy, again, becomes something for nothing, bravery, Nathaniel's nutmeg, 125 species, one true nutmeg, and yes, the island of Run.
That's the psychoactive part. It's in all our nursery rhymes, especially in children's books. Every children's book up until 1850 is nothing but the story of nutmeg in a metaphorical story. But we don't see it until we're shown it. And I want the world to see it like I do. And I know that they will see it. Because when you start looking, it starts looking back at you now. It's powerful. How'd I go?
Bloody good.
Hey?
Bloody good.
I'm sure there was more we talked about that afternoon. I checked my phone for the original call and it looked like we talked for about 2.5 hours, and he was only just beginning. I remember saying, mate, this story could be too big for a film. There is so much. I need to find a way in. I asked him why this was important.
We don't know our history. And this is the hidden part of our history that we need to know to stop repeating the cycle. I'm sure we have been here many times, mate. Those pyramids have taken many generations of people from different societies. It's like that. We do not need to repeat this story. If this circle again and destroy ourselves and start again, we can take knowledge now and hopefully use it wisely and create a love in the world and a peace that we have never known by one simple nutmeg. You know? Yeah. I want that known.
I asked him, how long have you been looking into this?
20 to 25 years now. It's been a long journey.
I did ask him too that there must have been a time when this was all-consuming. In that time, like every day, every moment, a time when it was all you ever did or think about. I asked this because I had a period of my life where I autodidactically researched the subject that once had me so intrigued, I left everything else behind. It just happened to coincide with the getting of fast internet for the first time. Well, by fast, I mean not the old dial-up. It was dangerous. I had too much information. I found and followed patterns that led me to discoveries, which led me to places I shouldn't have been to. I disconnected from the inverted commas real world and followed only the one subject. I don't think I showered for some weeks at a time. That lasted for me maybe 4 months. It was a rabbit hole that I'm scared to follow up on. So I guess he'd been down a rabbit hole too, and that's why I asked. He did tell me 6 years. 6 years. You're lucky to still be here, I said.
At first, I thought I'd gone down a rabbit hole, but then I discovered it was an actual gold mine, and it changed everything. And I just had to come back and write the story to get it out of my head. And so I did. I wrote a book on it to remove it from my brain. It's all still there, but It's not a rabbit hole. It's just knowledge now. And I want to share it.
So that book helped you?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Writing that book released the story from my head. Yeah.
So what was the first story that you heard that really made you want to have a look into this?
Yeah, it's the island of Run as to why two countries would exchange an island that is, just a rocky outcrop worth nothing today. Why would two countries fight and have... There was 2 wars fought there, mate. The First and Second Dutch-Anglo Wars were fought there. You know what I mean? War.
Wars over nutmeg. So, the island of Run. If I'm going to help Trad tell the story of nutmeg, then I need to start where he started. The island of Run is located in the Banda Islands, a group of 11 small islands situated in the Banda Sea, which is northeast of East Timor, southwest of the Bird's Head Peninsula of New Guinea, just below the Moluccas. One of the first things that I wanted to do was to actually find the real spelling of Run. I'd seen it spelt in 2 different ways, R-U-N and R-H-U-N. R-U-N by the Portuguese, R-H-U-N by the English and the Dutch, and I even happened to find another spelling, R-O-N, from an early Dutch map. But digging into the past has a way of grabbing your imagination, and I wanted to see how far back these islands were originally mapped by Europeans. For after all, Trad's been telling me what grew on these islands, that being nutmeg, was one of the most significant consumables the world has ever known. In fact, this place, up until a few hundred years ago, was the only place that nutmeg was found. The only place in the world. The Bandanese had a complete monopoly on the spice forever. Imagine that. They were the only keepers of a commodity that was used, traded, and what Trad tells me, revered by people from all over the world for thousands of years. He tells me it's been revered for its psychoactive properties, revered for ritual, even revered for its role in the evolution of human beings. But at this stage, that is what Trad is telling me. Things we will explore as the podcast goes on, but I don't have any proof yet. This is what freaks me out at this stage. Trad has been telling me he knows things, intrinsically knows things, deep inside himself. His confidence is unwavering. I'm trying to find stories based on facts to support or refute his claims, and not follow the white rabbit, not fall into the trap of patterns just for the sake of it. Apophenia, the human tendency to find meaningful patterns and meanings in things that are unrelated, can be dangerous. We are seeing things we may want to see in things that we shouldn't be. I would say this is a two-sided coin for us. New connections and patterns are important to identify in order to progress our world. However, we can sometimes overlook these because we desperately want to. Confirmation bias has been blamed for many conspiracy theories that are now very popular amongst many people, including myself once upon a time. In fact, there are probably still some I can't let go of. However, I can't fall into the trap of this way of thinking. I have told Trad this. We mustn't let ourselves venture into this territory. I'm not saying you can't, but I will try not to. All I wanted to do was check the original spelling of the island of Run. And in doing so, I was looking at old maps of Southeast Asia. and I found one. So old that it blew everything I thought I knew out of the water. The island of Run, the Manhattan Transfer, the exchange between the Dutch and the British in 1667 that saw the island of Run be exchanged to the Dutch for their fort on Manhattan Island. Before we proceed, we need to try to understand what led to this exchange. I mean, it seems extraordinary today. New York, one of the most celebrated cities with a population of just under 9 million, the financial capital of the world, and the island of Run. Today, it's a wayward, rocky outcrop with a population of around 2 to 2,500 people, primarily engaged in fishing and farming, living a simple life with very few visitors. I mean, wow. But to the Dutch at the time, Run was the missing piece in a total monopoly of the spice nutmeg. You see, the Dutch had complete control over every island in the Bandas at that time. The only place on earth nutmeg grew, except for Run. Run was controlled by the British. And nutmeg at the time had a 6,000% markup. It was as valuable as, and sometimes more than, gold. And for the Dutch, by then, it only required a sea voyage to fill its stocks and control the market. There is so much to unpack in the story of nutmeg. Even this period of time has loads of questions. Why was nutmeg valued so highly? How did the Dutch get control of these islands? And who were the Bandanese? And how did they manage to hold on to this prize spice on their own for all this time? We know that Chinese and Indian traders have been in the area for over 2,000 years. We also know that Arab Muslim traders were in the area for at least 1,000 years. Through all this, the Bandanese had managed to maintain their monopoly on nutmeg, which really could have been grown anywhere, not just in other islands in the Moluccas, but all throughout Southeast and tropical Asia. But it wasn't. There are so many more answers needed before we get into the Manhattan Transfer, the story of Run. If nutmeg is the original metaphor, as Trad says, it is becoming clear what some of these metaphors could be. To me, anyway. The hidden history, like the jar at the back of the kitchen shelf. The home of the one true nutmeg. The origin story of Eden, perhaps. The tree of knowledge, with fruits containing good and evil. So that really, really, really old map I found, well, it was Roman. It was a Roman map by Ptolemy. He was a master Roman map maker, amongst other genius doings, around 2,000 years ago. I was only looking for the earliest map I could find of Southeast Asia from a European perspective. Trad had told me other things, but I did know in some research that Romans used nutmeg as an incense. And someone had to get it from somewhere. But really, I didn't expect to find anything. Well, not anything more than, well, I didn't really know what to expect. I'm not a historian. All my historical contexts are really just popular beliefs. I don't know why they are formed that way, and really I don't even know what they are. But thinking the Romans knew about anything past the Middle East, Europe or North Africa, areas fully outside of their empire, was not even a thought for me prior to this find. Why would it be? You know, I'd heard that semi-known myth that Jesus may have been to India. But you know, come on, that's magical Jesus. By the way, I don't mind that idea. He disappeared from the ages of 13 until 30. already a smart boy when he disappeared and reappeared full of wisdom and teachings. But I never equated that to history that is an everyday fact. But here is an old map of half the world, a Roman map, Ptolemy's map, with India on it and beyond. My mind has been blown. I have since discovered the Greek merchant and navigator Hippolus, who found the way from Arabia to India via sea. Before this, everything was done over land, and it was believed the southern coast of India ran from east to west, not north to south. The actual map, the Roman map, is of Southeast Asia, and it has a group of islands in the bottom right-hand corner, and they are labelled in red. My heart is saying this is the Bandas, that they knew where they were, that they labelled them in red. I have since pretty well confirmed what the islands are, and it blows my mind. I told Trad that I found this map.
Yeah, right.
Something like that. But what got me was like, why is this little group of islands there by that, all by themselves? With the written in red.
Yeah.
You know, what? I had to get up, mate, do the dishes, and then have a shower and go shopping.
You got it in my head too now.
Because it freaks me out.
Oh, yeah, that sort of thing does, mate. It comes to you in some ways. I mean, that's one that's come to you. Whoa.
Yeah, so I went, okay, there's a map here from Roman times. I don't know.
Wow.
Just the fact that it's got Southeast Asia on it is enough.
Hey, that's a big thing in itself, mate.
It's a big thing. That's a long way away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, mate.
So the Romans knew about China, India, past India, below China, Borneo. They knew all this stuff about, and we, you know, it just says, wow, there's a lot about this world that we think we know.
Yeah.
That we don't.
Yeah.
I look back over some of these things that I was talking about, and I think, geez, Andy, you were naive. Of course there's hidden histories, but I guess we only know what we know. And what we know is usually only what we have been taught, or I guess what we go looking for. This whole Nutmeg story has had me looking at things in such a different light, searching in places that I didn't even dream of, the relationships between stories that I've known before and stories that I'm finding out about, and their relationship to the Nutmeg story is pretty incredible. I know now that this story in the future is going to go to some crazy places. They may seem crazy at first, but after a while they may make a little sense too. It's been interesting to use Benny as my sounding board for this.
Because in the last couple of months I've sort of got a bit more understanding about what the story is about and the connections to it.
Yes.
So before I didn't really have a full understanding, but I've had conversations lately where I just I should have really recorded them and sent it to you, because I get him to try and tie the story and how it has a connection to everything.
Yes.
And that's what he keeps saying. It's the greatest story ever told.
Yes.
In that, you know, anyone could say that, and you think, well, why? Why is that? And initially, if he told me that, it was like, well, fucking, you know, how can it be the greatest story ever told? This is just, you know, you're a bit ludicrous to even think that.
Yes.
But then when you get into these 4-hour conversations with him, you just keep going, you know, boiling it down. How does this connect to that? And that's where the emotions come in, and how society operates, and
yes.
And then it leads all back to that empathy, and, you know, and it seems that if you want to just look at the Jungian's perspective, you can go, well, everyone's got the shadow and doesn't really understand that they're operating in a shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably what's, if you don't have access to the nutmeg, which he's saying, then you've got to learn empathy. So that's a way to learn empathy if you don't want to go down the drug route, is to learn, how our psyche works, I suppose, or how consciousness and psyche works.
Yes.
So that's where you go, oh, yeah, okay, well, I can see why you're saying this is an important story, because it does link to just about everything, and it does have a sort of real-world implications.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like that, I think the second time we talked, and I said something like, with the empathy angle, and you said, oh, yeah, that's where he's coming from. Like that was it. And it was like, right, okay. I really look forward to talking to him, because that starts to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, he has that. So he watches a lot of news. So now the story is coming up and is linking to his sort of homework, and it does reflect his understanding. He's going, well, that just doesn't seem right in how they're reporting that news. But the story I know, it makes a lot more sense of why that's happening in lots of different aspects. And you think, well, we all look for patterns, I suppose, in how we view the world. Maybe it's just a pattern that his story can fit to any narrative.
Maybe just a pattern. Maybe it's just that nutmeg is the original metaphor. This is the secret story of Nutmeg.